Good morning. Welcome to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman Bergeron. It is Friday, March 5th, here in the southwestern coast of Maine in the U.S. And we may be interrupted by some electrical power outages. People in my neighborhood have had some issues because of the high wind storms, and they're working, but they seem to be running a little late. So I'm going to take a chance, and it may be a brief talk. I don't know, which is, as you know, sometimes hard for me to do. Bless you all. Thank you for being here. Um, Lucius, good morning. Tasha, good morning. Michelle, Carrie, aloha to you as well, dear heart. So today's talk, I went through the whole process of doing my show notes with the anticipation that I would do this Presence of Light talk at some point anyway. And it's been doing this for 2 years now, or over 2 years. So it's become really a key point in my week. It's almost like the starting point of my week to bring these messages to you, because they're being brought to me and I'm just sharing what I'm receiving. And I encourage everybody to begin to listen deeper to that inner voice that you know is there, that you've not trusted as much as you could have or should have or would have over the years, and that's okay. It's okay to not, you know, to not want to listen, because sometimes we are told and given messages that contradict everything that we have been taught to believe in. And our families begin to look at us a little strange, et cetera, et cetera. It ripples out, and it's not a comfortable place to be. But that's what today is really about. It's about change. Um, it's about moving into that true self and listening with a new heart. It's just an everyday adventure. Every day is going to be an adventure from now until I don't know when, and I don't see it stopping. And because we are undoing thousands of years of errors that have been committed in the name of humanity. And it's not going to be an easy process. Although, when I say that, in many ways, and for many of us, it will be much easier than we anticipate. So, my morning blessings to each of you, and my little prelude there, which you know I can talk forever. So I want to read the card that I started with this morning. It's one from my dear friend Mia Leventhal, and she brings these cards. They're called Soul Inspiration Message Cards by Kahlia, Kahliya, and they're available somewhere, I believe, on Etsy. I think that's where I've been purchasing them. Anyway, the message is: every day I take the time to clear the impurities absorbed by my being, to shine brighter than before, fulfilling the best purpose of my existence. And that's a powerful group of words, is how do we clear the impurities? And it resonated with me to a message I gave to Tony last night on his Curtan show on Good of the Whole, was something that came to me after I had died and come back. And I wasn't really fully awakened at that point. I was still struggling to figure it all out. But the message was: every day is an adventure. It can be your wildest fantasy or your worst nightmare. You choose. Your wildest fantasy is a limited thought, and your worst nightmare is just an illusion. And that became my mantra. And I didn't even know what a mantra was back then, but it was something that I kept saying and repeating to myself when I was guided. Charlie, what you're going through is going to contradict everything that you have been taught to believe in. Everything. It's not that everything is wrong. It's just you're going to realign with life. And that's been my journey for 29 years, is to realign with life. And I'm still doing it. And so I just want to share with you, if you're just beginning your journey of awakening and trusting yourself, honor that and know that there are many of us who have been doing this for years. And it's been scary as hell at times. And yet the reward we get for doing this and tapping into that higher self is beyond what I can write in words, beyond what I can express to you. For the naysayers, I love you. Until you are ready, it's not going to happen. And that's perfect. That's where you are. That's who you are. And that's okay. Know that in the greater whole, you are loved. You have a responsibility. And when you're ready to make that choice, it will come. It will be presented to you. And may it be presented with ease and grace. That's my hope for all of you. So the other thing is that it started my talk this morning. The words that came through was entering into March, and what does March represent for me? I was born in March, March 10th. That's my physical birth, and so it was my beginning point. But it's also a point of change. So for me, obviously, it was a change. I came out of the divine creation and into physical form in the month of March. But every year in our just natural world, March represents seasonal changes. So when we look at planet Earth and we look at the cycles of Earth, we realize that each season, whether we have a dramatic change or not, in New England, we have dramatic changes. They're very distinct. Other parts of the world, not so much. But each season, which aligns with the natural flow of the planet and its structure, her structure, so too do we go through these seasonal changes unconsciously. Our changing of the seasons in our natural world trigger our bodies to prepare for the oncoming temperature changes and the plant life changes, the animals change. Everybody becomes aware of change, and we do this 4 times a year. And we don't think about it, but we recognize it and we honor it. We even celebrate it, and our ancient ancestors celebrated even more because they knew that they didn't have technology. They didn't have vehicles to take them places. They had to go on foot. So they had to rely on Mother Earth at a deeper level than we do. So we don't think of our seasonal change as an adventure, but to our ancestors, it was an adventure. And many people died during the seasonal changes, and many people suffered greatly during the seasonal changes. But the reality is every cell in our body, whether we're consciously aware of it or not, knows when the seasonal changes begin and when they shift and when they change, because that's a part of our physical survival. So it does it autonomically rather than we don't have to think about it. It knows when it is. It feels the energy. And that's what we're looking at right now, is this adventure through these changing energies and our energetic challenges with our physical survival. So, this is what we're recognizing, is that this year, we've been in a year of isolation. We've been in a year of stress where all of our natural habits and things have changed, or, some slightly, some not so much. And we've all had to go into this deeper process of rationalizing or thinking about, who am I? What am I? Where am I going? What's my purpose? Yada, yada, yada. Okay. I'm not trying to get into your head. My head's full enough. But that was what it was about. We're experiencing our brain's energetic challenges. And that's what they are, energetic challenges for our physical survival. Never mind what we can create and what we can do, just our physical survival and communication with our neurological self is while dealing in this dramatic change of the envelope in which we live. And so that's become part of the mantra that I learned, I was given, is every day is an adventure. It can be your wildest fantasy or your worst nightmare. You choose. Your wildest fantasy is a limited thought, and your worst nightmare is just an illusion. And when I said it last night, it brought it all back. And that was my guides telling me, fasten your seatbelt, Charlie, because everything you think and know is going to shift and change in ways that we can't even describe to you. And so today, as we begin the month of March and we get ready for the shift of the season later on in the month, I want you to take time to be quiet with yourself. I want you to take time to deepen into yourself and see what's bothering you, and ask yourself how you can release that, and ask for your higher self, your multidimensional self, your guided self, to ask for the ways to appear with ease and grace, because you desire from your heart to shift and change. You don't want to remain where we are right now. That where we are right now is not where humanity has ever intended to be or belongs. But we're here because of our actions. We're here because of our thoughts. And we're here because as a collective, we've lost connection with each other. So I love Humanity Healing. It was one of the first places that I don't know how many years ago, I would watch the videos that were on YouTube, and they spoke to me and said, oh my goodness, I understand, I'm going through this. And so we're here to help each other, even though we may not agree with each other all the time, but we all know that we're moving forward, and we're all trying to heal humanity, because humanity has not been well for a long time. Take a breath, Charlie. I'm gonna have a little sip of coffee, thank you. I'm gonna read what's on my cup. This is an old cup of mine that I got, it's got to be 25 years ago. And on it is this beautiful picture of nature, and an indigenous person and a turtle on Turtle Island and the birds flying. And the saying on it is, "Oh, great spirit, let us greet the dawn of a new day when all can live as one with nature and peace reigns everywhere." So again, another mantra, if you will. Another thing to repeat to yourself to keep you moving and aligned with the greatness of who we are, not only as a collective, but individually. And we all need that reminder right now. So the great news of all of this morning is that even though we've been through a year of training, and that's what I call it, a year of training, and we've been held captive. I feel like I've been held captive, but that's okay. I'm safe. I pray for those who have suffered, who have had extreme loss of family members, who have had weather changes that are just beyond their comprehension and have lost through fires and cold and freezing and hunger. My heart is with you all around the world, because this is not just happening here in America. It's around the world, and it's happening in many ways that we just didn't anticipate. But the key is it's to wake us up. It's the shaking of us out of this dream that no longer serves humanity, no longer serves planet Earth. And the great news is that our ancestors' trauma is being released. As we release our trauma, we're not just doing it for us and the future generations. We're allowing our ancestors to have that electrogenetic energy released. So we are here in the middle, and we are here with the great gift of understanding and knowing in our hearts of how to do this, why we're doing it, on a commitment to do it. Each one in our own unique way. Some will do what we would call grandstanding. Some of us will just only be able to do it in our own household. And I want to assure you, it doesn't matter how little it is or how big it is. It's all of us coming together in our hearts to do it that's what is important. And what the good news is that we're moving forward. We're leaving this paradigm, this old paradigm of existence, and moving into an adventure, that adventure that we have been waiting for. That it's not a wild fantasy, and it's not a figment of our imagination. And we can choose to look at it. I'm going back to my words of my mantra, is we can choose to look at it as a nightmare, but it's occurring in broad daylight, right here, right before our eyes, right out of our windows, right in our neighborhoods. We're not just observing it anymore. We are fully participating in it with every physical and energetically possible experience that we encounter and have encountered for this past year. Look at this past year, what you've gone through physically and emotionally. You can't tell me you're not involved in this, that you are separate from it, that you escape it. Because there's nowhere else to go. This is where we are. This is where we have to do our work now, in the middle of this. And we've been chosen, and we're here because we're talented. Highly talented. Each one of you are highly talented. So the wild fantasies and the nightmares are our inner ability to embrace what does not make logical sense to the human brain. The brain is beautiful. It's a wonderful machine. I call it the original artificial intelligence. We didn't need this in the beginning, but we used this to remember so that we didn't go through the same thing over and over and over and over again. And where are we now? We're stuck. We're stuck in the same process. It comes up in a different form, a different shape, but we're not moving forward. So the universe and Mother Earth has said, you will move forward. You will evolve. You cannot stay here any longer. And our guides and our teachers are supporting us in that moving forward. And so all of this, the nightmares and the fantasies, don't make logical sense to our thinking brain, but they're tools for our long-term survival and navigation. They're stories not created so much on reality, but offer us a potential for change. We're beginning to see from an old, original, and legitimate center point on how to adapt and evolve. And that point is our heart. It's our heart chakra, our heart center, physically, emotionally, energetically. And if you want to remember and use your brain to remember, our first unique expression of energy as a physical being was a heartbeat. It was a heartbeat in our mother's womb. We couldn't see, we couldn't hear, we couldn't smell, we couldn't feel. We were like a little fish, a little tadpole, if you will, in our mother's womb. The first expression was our heartbeat. This heartbeat is what's going to get us through all of this. Because if we don't have the heartbeat, we're not here. Our heartbeat is the last expression that we'll make in this world. That last heartbeat will be our last physical connection. And I share that with you from a deep understanding and knowing of experience. This isn't a story that I'm telling or making up. And there are thousands, if not millions, of others like me who have witnessed that. They won't talk about it because they don't know how. And there are others who speak on stage and share their stories wide open, and that's their purpose. But the key right now is for all of us to trust our heart. Trust that heart in ways that may seem erratic, may seem like nonsense. But what we're really doing is being asked to charge it up again. To send it some energy. Send your energy to your heart. Don't worry about what your heart's going to do with it. Send that energy to your heart. Charge up that heart. So the neighborhood, the electricity, everybody's got generators. Well, what is a generator? It's a heart. They can't have the electricity. They can't have the power they need that is supplied from the third dimensional world that around them that they've relied on. So now they have a generator in their yard to create it. We have the greatest generators in the world right here. We are the most powerful generators in the world. Think about that. Think about this heart as the energy, as the generator. And when all the lights go out and all the power goes down and everything else fails, what's still running? Right here. Without this doesn't mean anything. I want you to realign yourself with your heart. Do it gradually. Do it gently. Learn to trust your heart. What's the decisions from your heart? Make your decisions from your heart. Temper them with what the knowledge that your brain has. But the brain is no longer to be in charge. It can't be. It will devour itself. It will burn itself out just like a computer will. It will just start to fail. And we'll all wonder, why is it failing? Why is it failing? Why is it failing? And it's failing because it's no longer needed. We don't need it. We've created artificial intelligence outside of us to do far more than our brain can do. So who are we then? Are we robots? Well, there are some people who would like to make us robots and control us, wouldn't they? We're not. We're human beings. Human beings. And we dwell on Mother Earth. And we've forgotten to honor Mother Earth as our mother. And you've heard this thousands of times, thousands of ways. I'm just repeating the same story. But sometimes when we hear it again from someone different, from a different point on the circle, it hits home. And our heart may seem erratic and not have much sense. It's kind of foolish sometimes. But when we send our energy to our heart rather than our mind, we take it out and place it back down there and charge our hearts again, we start to become more aligned with each other. We reduce distortion. We reduce confusion. We start to connect with what I call the heart of Mother Earth again, the core essence of life, of all life. Because without the heart, what I call the heart of Mother Earth, no life forms would survive here. Or at least visible to our conscious awareness. So it's in this jump starting of our heart that our collective choices become more aligned. And we become in more of an alignment with our future self. Whether it's a week, a month, 10 years, 50 years, whatever our future self is in existence, there is a future self beyond that. But even just in physicality, that future self becomes less attached to the past self. And the past self has many stories, both good and bad. But they're no longer as important as this moment, right here, right now. This is the new story. This is the new energy. This is the new creation. This is the new you. This is the new me. This is the new us. The new story begins within each heartbeat that we honor, that we put ahead of the thoughts that are continually generated by this artificial intelligence system, the AI. I like to call it the AI of our humanity. Before we created the AI in our image, and then we'll put it in robots that will hold our image. Why? We don't need them. We don't need them if we trust our heart. At the end of my show notes, these words come through, and I'm just going to read some poetry or whatever messages that I have here. And this is what came at the end of my show notes. We need to wipe the haze from our eyes, clear away the noise from our ears, Breathe more in depth into our abdomen and send more love within each exhale. To every one of us whose grandchildren will be thankful for our presence, not our dreams. Our grandchildren will have their own dreams. But if we don't provide them with a healthy planet and a clear consciousness, they'll never be able to express it. This is our responsibility. Not as, a threat to anyone. It's just the reality of what has not just happened here, but it's happened on other planets, in other galaxies. And, you may not want to believe those stories, but it's the history of all of us. It's in the genetic stream of our existence. That, and I just placed that in the chat. It's who we are as these amazing beings that have the ability to tap into our higher self. However we want to look at that. To tap into the fundamental structure of creation. Not understanding it as a classroom or a teaching, but understanding it as every breath, every move, every decision that we make. In that moment, we are affecting the field around us energetically. We have those anger thoughts, it affects the field. We have loving thoughts, it affects the field. When we judge somebody, it affects the field. Everything. This is the quantum reality that we're moving into. And we can no longer put it in the book, put the book on the shelf and say, oh, I understand quantum theory. No. We have been living quantum theory. We just didn't have any way of seeing it or recognizing it or looking at it from this outer perspective. Humanity took a dive and wanted to go deep into the microscopic, into the cellular structure, into the atomic level. Well, that all exists. But what you see happening right now for all of us in humanity is a result of paying more attention to that than to this. And we're all equal. No matter who you are, where you are, we're all equal. We all have the capacity to change our lives right now, to send more love into the world. And when we do that, the quantum field immediately responds in kind. I'm not an expert at that. I read that stuff and it makes my head go, ooh. But I understand it here. This is my quantum field right here. This is your quantum field. And you are the master of that. And each movement and every thought that you do and every change you make, everything that no longer serves that collective whole consciousness of what we aspire as humans, we create an effect. Even though you don't think so. You are powerful. Let's see, 1043. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to read this poem that came yesterday. So I've been on Thursday mornings. There's been a wonderful woman who has been doing some wonderful meditations, Malini Rahandran from India. And I honor you, Malini. And I would always, she would do her thing, and I would leave and always bring back some sort of poem or message. I didn't have her yesterday morning because she's moved on to doing stories about water and rivers, and she's focusing on that. And as we all shift and change, we focus on something new, and people will miss what we do, or will miss what we do, but we feel called to move into something that our heart is feeling is more important. So as you may know, I'm a member of the Global Heart Team, and every Thursday we meet and we send love to the world. And it's a very simple process, and you can all do that any day you want by yourself. Just sit in silence and in a meditative state, maybe play some meditative music, and just send love and watch where it goes. Watch where you're told, I need to send it to here, or I need to send it to there, or I needed to send, and allow your heart to guide you where to send it. It's a real simple process. Anyone can do it. As long as you're breathing, you can do it. So this is the message that came 15 minutes before I got online for that call. And it's changed me in a lot of ways. And so part of the way is it allowed me to tap deeper into a part of myself that has been showing up as distorted or unhealthy, and brought me to a place of worry, and brought me to a place of sort of badgering myself. We all go there. And this is the message that came through. I'll move it over to the center here so I can read it. There is a new heart within humanity, silently beating from deep within the cosmos. Its energy is radiating into all dimensions from our ancient crystalline beingness, seeking those who have not forgotten and gently reminding them of their purity, embracing each one as a being of renewal, which has long awaited this moment. It's not an easy undertaking, my beloveds, yet worth far more than precious gems. For it is love's light itself, entering our human presence, to be spread as soft whispers and gentle winds of divine harmony. As only we who chose not to forget have waited so many lifetimes to be a part of. I want you to think on that. That's posted on my Facebook page. It's posted on my blog. You can find me. Just Google Charlie Riverman. You'll find me. Not seeking kudos or some sort of appraisal. But what I've been offering for the past 29 years is now what you are going to offer as well. The time has come for each of your voices to rise, for each of your actions to make a difference. It's not something that any of us can bypass any longer. And that's what the message is about. A new heart. And I know each of you have that heart, or you wouldn't be here listening or tuning in to Humanity Healing Network. Last of all, listening to silly me on ramble on. So as I go down the line to acknowledge each of you, Margaret, Janice, John, Alicia, Heather, we have petitions for change. Change yourself. Petition yourself to change. Greater Shabbat Hall, an international day. How about an international life? Take time out, yes. Light a candle for spiritual knowledge. Yeah, just look into the flame. Take that moment to light that candle and just watch the fire flicker. Know that that flame of light is emblematic of who you are. You are the flame. You are the fire. Let's see. What is the next level for this space cadet? Well, if you think of yourself as a space cadet, anything is possible. Be it. Be the space cadet. Greetings, 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 greetings. Thank you, everyone. And somebody has written in their native language, Masrobe Sagara. Thank you for writing in your own language. And you write, if you know yourself, you will know who your God is and what you were created for. And she's from Indonesia, I believe. And thank you for that. Because yes, we are the children of creation. How you want to see that image of Creator and you want to worship that is your right and privilege from your heart. It's not about a billboard. It's not about a building. Our ancient ancestors worshiped that Creator through nature and all that Creator, God, being endowed us with. Look for that. Not a physical form that resembles us. See that power of God and creation in everything. Michelle says, love yourself unconditionally. It's that simple. It's that simple. And Michelle, the last comment is, what happens when you dream a lot? Well, dreams represent different things for different people. Some are your higher self speaking to you. Some are reflections of your emotional energy during the day. Some are parts of your life and existence that energetically and neurologically are being held in your physical body and want to be released and are releasing through your what I call dream time. Every one of them, irregardless of what they bring you, are something that we have to look at and realize that this brain holds all of that and more. And a lot of it we don't want to really see again. So the best way to do that is to realign our hearts. Because when we realign our hearts, all of those dreams that are not pleasant start to fade away into the past and no longer have any power over us. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. I say that with all sincerity, and I bless the water that you are. Every molecule of it. I'm so glad that I listened to my dowsing rods, which said, yes, 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 never mind the electricity situation across the street. And got to be with you here at my usual time. May your week be filled with you opening your heart, coming to know yourself deeper, and learning how to feel safe in expressing that. Because that's a big key. Letting go of the fear and trusting who you are, what you have to offer, and why you are offering it. We are offering it for the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren to come into a world where they don't have to live in fear, where they don't have to live in a world of hatred and violence. There's no reason that any of that has to exist. Bless you all. See you next Friday. Be blessed. Be who you are. I love you. Thank you.